As the first TNA Plus Special of 2025, now seems like a good time to go over the memorable spots that have made Sacrifice so compelling over the years. These are the top 5 TNA wrestling sacrifice moments. Number 5. Tara's Payback, Sacrifice 2011. At Sacrifice 2010, Tara lost to Madison Rayne for the Knockouts Championship, with the added stipulation being that if Tara could not beat Madison, then her time in TNA was over. Fast forward to July, and a masked woman with a motorcycle is seen helping Madison in her matches, and this led many to suspect that it was either Velvet or Lacey of the Beautiful People. But on the September 2nd edition of Impact, the mystery woman was revealed to be Tara, who was under the employment of Madison in order to have her job back. The partnership was mutual at first, but things suddenly began to fall apart in early 2011, when both ladies ran over Mickie James with a motorcycle, leaving her laid out in the back. After losing the Knockouts title to Mickie at Lockdown 2011, Madison got her rematch at Sacrifice, with the stipulation being that if Mickie wins, then the partnership between Tara and Madison was done. As the match was reaching its conclusion, Tara used Madison's own loaded glove against her, and allowing Mickie to pick up the win, which gave Tara her freedom. Number 4. Roxy gets her head shaved, Sacrifice 2008. During the 2008 edition of Sacrifice, the Knockouts took part in the first and only makeover Battle Royal, which was a Battle Royal mixed with a ladder match, with the winner getting a shot at the Knockouts title and the loser getting their head shaved. The final 3 participants in the match were Gail Kim, Roxy, and Angelina Love. However, Love was eliminated from the match, making the final 2 Gail and Roxy. But due to Gail Kim winning a Clippers on a pole match on Impact, she had won immunity from getting her head shaved, which meant that if Roxy won the match, then the last person eliminated from the Battle Royal, aka Angelina Love, would get their head shaved instead of Gail. This led to both Angelina or Velvet Sky interfering in the match numerous times, with Gail becoming the number 1 contender and Roxy being forced to get her head shaved bald. It's one of the saddest moments in TNA wrestling, especially when some of the participants come out in support for Roxy. Angelina and Velvet, on the other hand, are seen laughing hysterically, while also grabbing bits of Roxy's hair as a prize. Number 3. Rich Swann's biggest win, Sacrifice 2021. This moment tends to be forgotten as it took place during the pandemic and was quickly overshadowed by the company's next major event, Rebellion. After beating Eric Young for the world title at BFG 2020, Rich Swann became the target for TNA World Champion Moose, which eventually led to a match at Sacrifice, with the bout being a unification match, with the winner going on to defend the newly unified world titles at Rebellion in the main event against AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. The bout between Moose and Swann at Sacrifice was certainly a match of the year contender, with Swann having to rely on his speed to outmaneuver his opponent, while Moose had to impose his strength and viciousness to ground the high-flying champion. By the end of it all, Swann pulled off the biggest win of his entire career and defeated Moose to become the first ever unified Impact World Champion. But a few weeks later, Omega would win all of the gold at Rebellion, and Swann would never again come close to winning the world title during his run in the company. Number 2. The return of the Walking Weapon, Sacrifice 2022. After cashing in his Call Your Shot trophy in the final minutes of Bound for Glory 2022, Moose had finally become Impact World Champion, much to the shock and anger of many, including the now former champion, Josh Alexander. In the weeks that followed, Alexander's rage would get him into heated arguments and become even more intense when wrestling his fellow competitors, until Scott D'Amore suspended Josh for his actions. Not long after this, it was announced that Alexander's work visa was expiring, and this led to fans befuddled that the company let one of their top stars' work visa expire, while others were hoping that WWE or AEW could come in and sign Alexander to a long-term contract in the process. Thankfully, in one of the best troll jobs in recent memory, Josh re-emerged at the end of Sacrifice 2022 and dropped Moose with his finisher before announcing that he not only re-signed with the company, but that he's also getting his rematch for the world title in the main event at Rebellion. A fantastic return and a great way to make the main event of your next major show all the more eye-catching. Number 1. Kurt Angle's forgotten title win, Sacrifice 2007. TNA's partnership with the National Wrestling Alliance, or NWA for short, saw TNA use the NWA to garner some credibility in addition to using their titles, while the NWA used TNA as a way to keep the name alive and to continue the tradition of classic Southern style of wrestling that the NWA was known for. Of course, nothing lasts forever, and after 5 years, The NWA and TNA were going their separate ways after a number of stars who were NWA champions at the time failed to defend them in the territories that were associated with the NWA. The announcement was made on May 13, 2007, with the NWA ending their partnership with TNA, which came about the same time and day as the company's Sacrifice pay-per-view, where the NWA Tag Team and World Heavyweight Championships were set to be defended on the event. Placed in an awkward situation, the company went on to call the belts the TNA Tag Team and World Heavyweight Championships and had both matches end via screwy finishes, which was used as a way to strip the champions of their titles, and for the sake of this entry led to Kurt Angle's NWA title win not being recognized as legitimate. Due to TNA's ever-growing popularity and exposure, they created their own belts, and at Slammiversary 2007, the main event saw Kurt Angle become the first ever TNA World Heavyweight Champion after winning the King of the Mountain match. And the rest, as they say, is history.